a university, you should choose the right school for you. And everyone has a different criteria for what is important to them, whether it's the ranking of the school, whether it's the student to teacher ratio. I think that to me has always been important, just knowing that I can interact with my faculty and professors. Is it the student body? Are you looking for a younger student body? Are you looking for students who commute? There's so many factors that I think weigh in. And you talked about an executive MBA versus, a full-time MBA. So I think your lifestyle makes a big difference. Are you commuting? Are you living on campus? Do you want online coursework? All of the things that I think are important to you and your learning style. So I think those are important. And I think, people shouldn't get too caught up in um,
Welcome to the OTech Talks podcast, where it's all about working on technologies. You will hear the latest tech information, and your host, Kashif Manzoor, brings together product overviews, how-tos, best practices, tips and tricks, and troubleshooting techniques.
Welcome back to another exciting 115th episode of Open Tech Talks with your host, Kashif Manzoor. Today, we have an incredible guest whose expertise stretches from the halls of higher education to the corridors of diplomacy. She is not only a higher education consultant and manager at Deloitte, one of the big four consulting firms, but also a former US diplomat with years of experience in international relations. She is a master at juggling different skill sets and responsibilities, holding a master's degree in international relations and an MBA in international business, no less. Her love for sharing knowledge makes our guest speaker even more extraordinary. If you have ever wondered how to improve your memory, elevate your reading comprehension, and manage your time better, all while achieving an excellent balance for higher education, you can't afford to miss this episode. And as I have recently completed my MSc in Artificial Intelligence, in session 106, The Journey of a Working Professional Pursuing a Degree in AI, I shared my take on the subject, including why go for the formal university route, why upskilling is important, how did I start it, and what considerations can help you decide for yourself. I was going through similar thoughts when planning to start the study in 2020. So before we invite a guest speaker, thank you for sharing your comments and feedback for the show. It is helping me to learn and improve. The Open Tech Talks is your weekly sandbox for technology insights, experimentation, and inspiration with the primary objective of learning and sharing. Now let's have a chat with our guest speaker. Welcome to Open Tech Talks podcast. And today we have a guest speaker, Christina Carmel Lopez, and she's an education consultant. And we are going to hear today a lot of good stuff. And it's close to my heart because I was just doing a TV program over the last 1.5 years. And that gave me a lot of confidence and learning on the artificial intelligence. And that's how I reached to Christina to understand how she's helping different folks to learn and while doing different professional career. So let's go back to Christina and hear from Christina. If Christina, you can introduce yourself to audience.
Sure. My name is Christina Carmel Lopez, and I recently wrote a book for adult learners. So I spent the past almost 2 decades working in higher education, and I was an instructor at the college level. I was a graduate law school administrator. And then most recently in my role at Deloitte, I am a higher education consultant. So I've been involved in higher education for a long time, and not just as a teacher and an administrator, but also as a student. And I most recently got my MBA while I was working full time. And I think that experience of, working full time and getting a degree, I found it very challenging. And I realized that the same struggles that I was having as a fully employed graduate student were very similar to the struggles and the issues that I was observing the students that that were in my academic program were also experiencing. So it really prompted me to create the material for the book. I initially started out just giving workshops to my students to help them with their writing skills, to help them with time management and graduate level study skills. But eventually I decided that I wanted to get that information out to a larger audience. And this book that I wrote is really for any adult learner, anyone who needs to learn anything. It will help you learn faster and better and help you improve your memory and cognition. So I'm very excited about this book that's now available for pre-order, but it'll be in bookstores in January.
Great. And as I already said, it's a topic that's close to my heart, and I think we're going to have a good discussion on why we started higher degree during the professional life. And okay, so let me start from here then, because this was a key question when I was doing early 2020 and late 2019 that okay, we need to get some formal degree and maybe depend on how you learn or how you absorb the contents. The same question was coming in my mind, and if you can elaborate on it, why it's important for professional careers or professional career guys, they're working full time, that they should go ahead for any degree program.
Well, I always think that it depends on the individual. So I think higher education isn't for everyone, but I think that higher education can help a lot of people. And I'm a big proponent of higher ed. So I think, the reason that people might want to pursue degrees later in life, and just so your audience is aware, this is actually a growing trend. So we're seeing more adult learners going back to school. We're seeing people who are later in their lives and in their careers going back and getting degrees. So this non-traditional student, not the student that's in their early 20s or just out of high school, that's kind of the traditional student, but we're seeing these non-traditional students, working moms who are trying to get degrees also, in their spare time in the evenings online. We're seeing a lot more of these non-traditional students. And I think the reason many people are pursuing higher education later in life or while they're working professionals is because they really want to advance their careers. I think that's the number one reason, is the opportunity for advancement. But I also think that there are more opportunities now with online education. So the wonderful thing about online education is that you have more options, more schools to choose from literally around the world, and you can do it from your home. So if you are a working parent, you can still get your education, in those couple of hours that you might have in the evening. So I think that has been a really wonderful thing for the adult population and for learners, is that now there are just more opportunities to learn and to learn in different ways.
Okay, and that's trend is, you're right, the trend is there. And if I talk about Christina, for example, what it pushed her or forced her to go ahead and do an MBA.
So I thought I was done with my education. I did an undergraduate degree in international studies and intercultural communications, and then I did a master's shortly thereafter in international relations. And then I did another degree in design. And so I thought, okay, I have 3 degrees now and I'm done. But what propelled me to get the MBA was that I was working as an executive director and doing a lot in the space of operations and management. And I really wanted to improve my management skills and my leadership skills. And I wanted the opportunity to advance. If I ever wanted to be a COO of a company, I wanted to be sure that I had the foundation and the education to do that. Or if I wanted to go off and start my own business, I wanted to be sure that I had that foundation. And so that's what made me do that, later in life. And I'm so glad I did. And it really helped me, I think, when I began pursuing consulting, it also laid a foundation for a lot of the work that I do with my clients now.
Okay. Well, very good. And I think the similar thoughts were mine in when I was deciding it, because there were so many short courses, and I was doing it, and then one point of time I thought of that, okay, how I need to go in depth, and that's leads me to go ahead for that. Now, I've seeing another one common question that, okay, as an individual, should I go ahead as an MBA or executive MBA, or should I pursue any technical degree based on maybe latest technology or based on maybe background? And do you have any thought on it that can someone it can some help to someone?
Yeah. I think it always depends on what your goals are. And in my book, it's called Get the Degree Without Losing Your Mind, The Busy Student's Guide to Study Hacking. It's available wherever you get your books.
Mhm.
In this book, I talk about setting goals and knowing what your intention is, because that will define how you go about your studies. So a question everyone needs to ask is why do they want this education? Why do they want this certificate? Or why are they taking this class? What do they want to get out of it? Because people will want to pursue education for very different reasons. And some people take a class and they want to get an A plus. Other people want to learn just what they need to know to do their jobs better. Other people just want to pass the class because they don't really care about that class, but they need this degree. They want to graduate with the degree. So I think it's going to be unique and different for every individual why they're making the choices that they are. And I think depending on the answer to that question, whether it's career advancement that you're looking for, whether it's just the satisfaction of completing a master's degree or any degree of study, I think that really helps people determine what the best path is. And I think you said, you work in technology, and I think technology it changes so quickly. So in that sense, I would think, shorter courses of study that are really specific to whatever the emerging technology is that you want to learn, I think that's a really smart decision. But I think if your goal is to be a manager or a leader in an organization, I think the skills that you need are a little bit more broad. So you want to gain leadership skills. You want to understand the nuts and bolts of management. So I think, again, it just goes back to what are you trying to achieve, and what's the best vehicle to get you there, whether it's a short-term course or class or certificate or trade school, or whether it's a full degree program.
All right, thank you. And now it's a leading question to this, and I'm getting so many questions similar to this one from when I did it at graduation ceremony a couple of months back. Which university should I choose, or where I should go? And that's a very common question being asked to me when. So maybe, and I want to pass to you because I have my own thoughts of sharing it, that how you can choose or select your university or any institute. So maybe if you can give some idea on to that one.
Sure. And I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are on this topic too. And I'll have to say that choosing a university, you should choose the right school for you. And everyone has a different criteria for what is important to them, whether it's the ranking of the school, whether it's the student to teacher ratio. I think that to me has always been important, just knowing that I can interact with my faculty and professors. Is it the student body? Are you looking for a younger student body? Are you looking for students who commute? There's so many factors that I think weigh in. And you talked about an executive MBA versus, a full-time MBA. So I think your lifestyle makes a big difference. Are you commuting? Are you living on campus? Do you want online coursework? All of the things that I think are important to you and your learning style. So I think those are important. And I think, people shouldn't get too caught up in And what other people think, I think they really need to focus on what they're trying to get out of the experience and what school or organization can help do that best. And obviously, different schools specialize in different areas. So, what area are you interested in? And I think finding places that specialize in your area of interest is always important.
Right. And I think it's similar to this one. When I was deciding it, I mean, can you do it full time or part time or on online? Then, if you are not living in that country and there are universities which other part of the world, and then how you gonna pursue them? What are the fee structure for them, for the fee, universities? Then even the course contents or the program. If, for example, one key question was, okay, if I was looking as an online, then was it a semester system, and then how many subjects you want to take it in one semester, total duration, and my thought was, okay, if I need to get sequential, like okay, one subject at one point of time, or even two or three, I will get it. So, and then the ranking of the university, that's also important. I mean, some people think about it, but I was considering it. The ranking, and even the job placement, how the university is being placed, and even the course which you are doing it. For example, how rated that is, and if exact program, what type of usually the schools or those institutes are, how they bring different students into the to that specific session. And I think these were some of the thoughts were at my mind, and I think I'm passing the same to different folks, whoever is asking me. If I summarize it, my view on it.
I agree with all of those. Yes.
All right. Now, okay, so continue to this one. Maybe one more question on coming back to your book, and get the degree without losing your mind. So, if a newbie who's gonna read this book, what you can expect out of it? If you can summarize it, or maybe give a three key points that can
Yeah.
help them.
This book is a culmination of everything that I've learned in the past 4 decades of my life, and I'm drawing from many different academic disciplines. Um, I have many degrees, so the things that I've learned studying in different arenas, things I've learned in the workplace and with practical experience. So the the breadth of this book is quite broad. So it discusses time management, um, planning, project planning, skills on test taking, but it also goes a little bit deeper than your standard study skills book. I have an entire section on writing skills. I've been a writer for many, many years, and I've read many students' papers, and I work with other consultants and I edit a lot of their writing. So I felt this need, and I know that the students that I worked with, they all wanted to improve their writing skills. So there's a whole section on graduate level writing and university level writing that I think is, could be its own standalone book. And then the final section of the book really ties it all together, because the purpose, of learning these skills of time management and organization and study skills, that's not really the end goal. I think the end goal for a busy student is for them to achieve balance in life. And as I'm sure you know, it's very difficult working full time and getting a degree. There's barely enough hours in the day, and most days there aren't enough hours. So the goal is to be able to help people work really effectively and efficiently so that they can have more time for themselves, for their families, for their health, to do the things that matter in life. Because I think it's very easy for students when they're busy to burn out because they're just not taking good care of themselves spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. And so the final section of the book ties everything together and just helps students live a life that I think is purposeful and meaningful. Um, there's a section on career planning as well, but just really a life that is balanced. And so that's kind of, my hope for any student who reads this book for the first time.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I will share my experience, if may I, especially this burnout. And during 2.5 years, I think every second or the third month, I was thinking, I should just get over it, and I cannot continue. And because there are so many hours you need to spend in the evening, or you're missing it, or maybe the deadlines. But I think there was a it goes back to your goal that okay, you want to get something, you want to complete it, and that was forcing me to keep continuing. And I'm very happy that I did it, frankly. Or 30 months were quite challenging, but and I think I would I'm just was just thinking that okay, maybe this book I would have launched earlier, and then I could get some, tips how to overcome this burnout. True, absolutely,
Yes,
great
I
work.
and I felt the same way, and I think, in my book I tell people that getting a degree is not easy, but it is worth it. So this book really helps people push through some of those difficult times and gives them strategies for success.
Right. So now, and that's you rightly said, getting degree. So now, next question is, for example, I work in technology, and I'm doing one work in the cloud, like an architectural solution architect, and now I did a degree in AI, or machine learning, or data science. And now another challenge I have in my hand, that okay, how I need to professionally get my career aligned to the degree, because what I learned it, how I can get through it. So I'm in a challenge of okay, I need to maintain my current pace of job, and then I need to pursue what I learned it in a degree, and move my career transition to that one. So maybe you can add some tips to here, and that will even help me as a in this situation.
Absolutely. So I mentioned the chapter on career development, and the tips that I provide there are really relevant to anyone at any stage in their career, whether you're getting your first job straight out of college or whether you're transitioning mid-career, whether you're moving from one industry to another. And so I try to make these tips really evergreen and really accessible. And I think one of the best tips that I have for people who are looking to make a career transition is this idea of ongoing and constant networking. And so this is something I know in my company, Deloitte is really encouraging us to constantly do, to network with other colleagues. And so, I would encourage those people who are considering a career change to talk to people in the areas that they want to work in. And I think that there's so much value in learning from other people's experience and expertise. And I think that something that Get the Degree Without Losing Your Mind does really well is that it shows that book learning is not enough. Just taking the class, listening to lectures, or reading a textbook isn't enough. You need to supplement what you're learning in the classroom with real life experience. And that can be doing an internship or an externship. It can be talking to people in the field. It can be joining groups and organizations that are related to the areas that you're interested in. And so I think it's always good before you do a career change to really learn everything you can about that industry. Sign up for the new newsletters, listen to the podcasts, volunteer, for groups, or go to conferences and volunteer so that you have the opportunity to meet people in those industries, and then do informational interviews with people who work in the space that you want to. Prior to joining higher education, I worked for the State Department, and my dream was to be a diplomat for the US government. And I didn't know how to get there. So I was getting a master's in international relations, and I did a summer internship at the State Department. And I had this incredible opportunity to meet foreign service officers, diplomats who were back in the United States between their postings. And so I, took full advantage of that. And I talked to them. I asked them about their job and how they got their job and if they liked it and what they did. And I learned so much from that experience of just interacting with people. And that convinced me that I did want to do this job. And this was something that, I was capable of and that I had the skills. And so I think, don't forget to pair those relationships and in the industry with people in the industry with all the knowledge that you learn in your coursework and in your degrees.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for the tips and guidance. Now, before we conclude today, maybe a couple of questions more. And as the AI at the peak over the last 6 months, so maybe a leading question to it, with the age of AI or rise of AI, is still the study important?
I actually think that generative AI is going to make adult learning even more important. And here's why. I think, the question everybody is asking is how is generative AI going to impact me and my job and my career? And
All
I
right.
think what we know for sure is that it will cause many people to have to upskill and reskill. So we're going to have to learn new skills, even if that skill is just how to incorporate AI into the job that we currently do. I think that's step one. So I think what AI is going to do is it's going to force us to learn new things, starting with how to work with AI. So I think generative AI makes learning new things that much more important and that much more relevant. And that's why I think this book, Get the Degree Without Losing Your Mind, is both timely and timeless because people, I promise you, in the next several years, they're going to want to upgrade their skills and learn some new skills as AI takes over probably some of, the work and the skills that they've been used to doing.
Thank you so much, Christina. And if someone wants to reach out to you or when the book will be available, if you can share some news on it.
Yes, absolutely. So the book is available for pre-order right now wherever you get your books. You can order it on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, all of those websites have it available. And you pre-order it. It will arrive in January. January, it will hit bookstores, but I would encourage you just pre-order it now and you don't have to worry about it, think about it again. You'll get a nice surprise in your mailbox. And this book is really for any adult learner. If you are a student, if you're thinking about going back to school, or if you need to learn something new in your job or in your career, I highly recommend this book. It's a quick and easy read, and it's a lot of fun too. There's a lot of exercises that you can do and checklists, and it's just a very quick and easy read. So I think your listeners are really going to love this.
Thank you so much. And if someone wants to reach to you on your website or any social link, if you want to share it.
Yeah, so you can reach me at Christie at getthedegree.com, and that's get-the-degree.com if they want to reach me. And the URL is the same for the website, getthedegree.com.
All right. Thank you so much, Christina, for joining the Open Tech Talks. And I'm privileged to have a discussion with you, and I hope that our discussion will enable so many people to pursue their dream careers or the degree program, whatever they want to get it. Thank you so
I
much
hope
for
so
joining.
too. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the O Tech Talks podcast and be part of Tech Talks at otechtalks.tv. It's a turf to share ideas,